I swear. I have no idea what this word is. Y'all, I've been working on this thing for over an hour. Okay, let's look at gamma. I don't think the last time I looked at gamma, I really looked at the ending of it. Like this word, which fits all of my criteria. I swear. There it is. Go. Yep. Well, if it's not this word, then I don't know what it is, and we're just gonna go with it. You freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Oh my gosh. So 1 hour later, welcome to another day where I struggled to find out whatever 5-letter Greek word this is. The word was gonia, which is a word I have never seen in my life. I swear. It means corner. So let's see. We've got Matthew 6:5. When you pray, do not be sin on the street corners. Okay. Hey, I blame you 100%. All right, let's do a Bible word study for this. All right, so cornerstone. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. This is the word for cornerstone? Ugh. Like, you've gotta be kidding me. Now I am hating myself because, like, I should have known this word. Like, this is a very important word, right? Yes. Hey, John, I should be ashamed. I should be 100% ashamed that I could not remember this one Greek word that is only used 5 times in the New Testament, even though it is a extremely important passage of scripture. Oh no, this is 5 of the 9 uses of cornerstone. The other 4 are cornerstone. So it's used 9 times. Excuse me. It's used 9 times in the Greek New Testament. The 4 corners of the earth. So, it literally can mean just like the corner, like, you know, where things, so like corner, literal street corner, or the corner of a room, or it could be a more metaphorical corner, like the 4 corners of the earth. So like, if we think of the earth as a room, the 4 corners being the extent of the room, or it could be cornerstone, which if you look at every single one of these references, they are all references to the same. Well, 3 of the 5 come from the synoptics, which means they're probably all from the whatever Mark is quoting here, which Mark is quoting. What is that? So, the stone which has been rejected, the builders, this has become the head of the corner. Yeah. So into the corner head. The head of the corner. Where the Lord became this, or this Well, from the Lord this became and is amaste. Marvelous. Okay. So this is a reference to Psalm 118, 22, and 23. So the stone that has been the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. This is the Lord's doing and is marvelous in our eyes. Pretty straightforward. Let's open the LXX and see if that passage is in there as well. So yeah, so here it is, and they use the same phrase. So the LXX is the Greek Old Testament. It's called the Septuagint, and that is literally a quote from, like, word for word from the Septuagint. So, which is good. That tells us that it's being quoted from a source. Which, yeah. So, what is this? What is this cornerstone? So if you haven't, in fact, let's do this. We're gonna do a guide. We're gonna do Bible word straight on the word cornerstone. Okay. So there are two ways to talk about the cornerstone. There's kephale plus gonia, the head corner, or there is the acrogoniaios, which is the acro meaning the top, like Acropolis, the top, and then gonia being corner. And so we're not talking about the so there are two big stones that they talk about all the time when they're talking about cornerstones. The one is the one that they place in the arch to hold on. You know what? Let's go look at the net, because here it is. Okay. So the net is this cornerstone reference here, which we love the net. The metaphor of the stone the builders discarded describes the way in which God's deliverance reversed the psalmist's circumstances. When he was in distress, he was like a stone which had been discarded by builders as useless, but now he has been vindicated by God. All can see that he is of special importance to God, like the cornerstone or the foundational stone of a building. Flip over to, Mark 12:10, right, which is where this is quoted. The capstone or keystone, even though those meanings are lexically impossible, the imagery in Ephesians 2:20-22 and 1 Corinthians 3-11 indicates that the term kephalagoinias refers to a cornerstone, not a capstone. And so that's the difference. Capstone meaning the stone at the very top of the archway, cornerstone being the corner foundational stone when they were laying the foundation for a building. So it's very common that Jesus is being referred to as the stone. And so let's look at this in context, because I feel like this is important. That's important too. They just reference the context. And so I haven't actually read Mark 12 in a while, but it's towards the end of Mark. The parable. Ooh, okay. So, oh my gosh. Right. Okay. So this is the parable of the tenants, which is the man planted a vineyard, put a fence around it, dug a pit for the land press, and built a tower, leased it to tenants, and went out into another country. So the idea is that God came in and set up the vineyard, the kingdom, and then leased it to the tenants, the kings. Sorry. Loud. Shh, baby, sleep. And leased it to the kings, right? And every so often he would send a servant, aka the prophets, to the tenants to get some of the fruit of the vineyard. And they wouldn't provide it. And eventually it escalated, right? To the point where they killed all of his messengers. And then he sent his son, saying, they will respect my son. And they killed the son too. And so this is a prophecy or a condemnation of the nation of Israel for rejecting Jesus. And so he's telling this to the Pharisees. And I think this is so important because it shows us that there is a group of people in the world who know Jesus, who know the scriptures, and who know God, but they don't see Jesus for who he is, and they don't follow him the way that he can. Evil to Hope, the welcome in. Thanks for the question. I will get there in a second. But for now, we're talking about Christ as cornerstone and what the rejection of him looks like. And I think we forget that even in the church today, this can still happen. Not that, you accept Christ and then reject him and then lose your salvation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are raised in the faith, who know him, but instead of choosing to follow him, they reject him and choose to go their own way. Because we're talking about the Pharisees and the Sadducees, people who have studied the scriptures, who know the prophecies, who know the Messiah is coming, but because this Messiah does not look the way that they want them to, or because they are not willing to give up the power that they have, they choose to deny and reject him and kill him. And it's actually so poignant considering the world we live in right now, because I feel like a lot of people in Christianity have become accustomed to a certain amount of power that comes with being a faith leader, or being one of the faithful, quote unquote. I see it in my own community, right? Like the people who go to a certain church or who profess Christian faith are the ones who seem to have like more status within the community. Their voices tend to be more outspoken, and they tend to be heard more. In fact, like it's one of my biggest things as a public school teacher is like we are not meant to cater to one population as a public school. Like even though I share their beliefs, that doesn't mean that they get to be the loudest voice in the room. And so like we need to make sure, and even then, like I don't even know where I was going with this. I had a point and I lost it. Okay, so they know God but they don't know him. Right? And they have power and they want to be the loudest voice in the room. And they don't want to give that up. Even if God is calling them to deny themselves and take up their cross and follow them, they don't see that lifestyle as something that they should be pursuing, right? Like that diakonos lifestyle. Jay Houchin, I see you. The die to self lifestyle that Jay Houchin and I had taught to us while we worked together at a summer camp down in Central Texas. Like, because at the end of the day, we're called to love God and love others, and seeking our own personal power and our own personal authority and prestige, and that our opinions be heard is not normally loving God and loving others. It's loving self, and that's not what we're called to do. Just like the tenants in this parable, we're called to give tribute to the king, or to give tribute to the owner. Instead, they killed his messengers and then killed his son because they wanted to inherit the vineyard. And woe to them who do that. It's not going to go well for them. This passage is also paralleled in the other synoptics, so it is important because Matthew and Luke both decide to keep it in their gospel as well. It is near the end, like I said, it's near the end of Jesus' ministry. When he's starting to get really sassy. Can Jesus be sassy? I think Jesus is sassy in the scriptures, but that's besides the point. When Jesus gets real sassy towards Matthew. Yeah, it's after the triumphal entry towards the end, right here. So again, it's the parable of the tenants. Therefore I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to people producing its fruits. And the one who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces, and if it falls on anyone, it will crush him. I think that there are people in the church today who need to realize that if we are not bearing the fruit of the tree of life, if we're not pursuing justice, if we're not loving mercy, and walking humbly with our God, then are we truly being good stewards of the gospel? Look at Luke. What does Luke add to this? But everyone who falls on that stone will be broken to pieces, and when it falls on anyone, it will crush him. Y'all, this is not whoa. Can I see? Oh my gosh, why isn't my interlinear going up? Is that what was going on here? Why it was being weird? Yes it is. It's like that's why it's super spaced out. Oh, yeah. Oh, nope, I want that. Interesting. Sorry, I got distracted by Logos. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on this particular passage. If you don't have Logos, I would recommend getting it. It's super handy. As you can tell, I spent the majority of it. I used the search feature a lot today. Oh yeah, dude. No, I totally feel you. That's a great thought. Thank you for sharing that. It says, Houchin said, makes me think of something I'm seeing now where tradition and teachings have created a view of Jesus that has been westernized. And John, correct me if I'm wrong, but by westernized you mean like Europeanized, thinking like how we view him through the Western European lens of some of the theologians that are the predominant like people in our Christian context as United States folks, and challenges these things, makes people quickly reject these truths. There is a fragility there for sure on being able to consider a viewpoint that is different, and maybe not so novel. I mean, there were Eastern points of view analyzing the scriptures from the very beginning, because Jesus is from Asia, the Middle East. We're thinking of like Origen, even Athanasius, Basil, like all of the fathers. Let's be honest, we don't get into super westernized thinking until the Enlightenment, and that's like later on down the line. We're talking about the Reformation, really, but people before, the medieval scholars, and even before that, before the split in the early centuries, you're seeing a lot of very interesting writings from like Irenaeus, Augustine, Origen, the Apostolic Fathers, the Ante-Nicene Fathers. Like they're all have some very weird and hard things to wrestle with that they're talking about, that modern Christian, like normal Christian people, don't interact with it. It's not something that pops up in our theology. Hey, Honor. And so, but man, like if you have it in you, go read the Apostolic Fathers. It is such an eye-opening experience. Some of it is straight up crazy. Shepherd of Hermas is like, I don't even know. But if I remember correctly, one of my professors in seminary, he was a huge Apostolic Fathers. Yeah. So this is where I went to seminary. Oh, you can't see. This is where I went to seminary. I went to Dallas Theological Seminary. One of my professors is Michael J. Spiegel. And he has a This is the Apostolic Father Greek Text and English Translations with Michael Holmes. This is recommended. And that's the one that I had when I was in seminary. Dude, I love DTS. So, here another one of his books is called Retro Christianity, and he goes back over it. I'm not going to read what the Gospel Coalition has to say. Just make sure you text White Rose and let her know. I'm sure she's expecting you, but just to be 100% sure. Here's a podcast that he did talking about the Apostolic Church. Like, honestly, go ahead and study the early church. It'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I got to say about that. Any comments from chat? I want to hear your thoughts. Everything I say lining up with you. John, I appreciate you coming in. Love seeing you. You are totally fine. I'm sure we're expecting you, and we're, as always, we plan for more people than have RSVP'd because that's just a smart thing to do. And if you do that and everybody shows up, then you have leftovers. And if more people show up, then you have enough food. So, dude, heck yeah, dude. I really appreciate you coming in. I do, man. It's been a long time. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for saying hey. Thanks for your comments, dude. It's super good to talk to you. You ever up in my part of the world, let me know. We'll grab coffee or something else and talk and catch up. But that is an hour and a half of me talking about Dallas area. An hour and a half of me trying to figure out a Greek word and then talking about it for a while. So yeah. Let's play a game.